Welcome back to JDM Legends, presented by Turn 14 Distribution, where today we finally do the big wheel and tire reveal. Man, it's exciting to have this car on the ground and ready to run and drive, and that means we get to make it look pretty before we do some of that, including installing this front lip. And this is, in fact, an eBay lip, so it'll be interesting to see how well it fits up. We just ran it and the front bumper over to our buddy Luke at 242 Customs, just so he could try to paint match it. And I'm not even sure what style lip this is. We wanted something that looked sort of like clean and OEM in style, because I really liked the way the blue Supra turned out with that very like OEM plus exterior. So let's try bolting this thing on here and see what kind of fit quality we get. So we just bolted the lip on here and it actually fit remarkably well, at least from the backside it looked like it did. And I've got to say, I really like the way Toyota uses this aluminum bar on along the top that has studs on it, and then an aluminum bracket that goes underneath it to sandwich the lip to the bumper. We're missing the lower part over here, so we just used washers instead of this full aluminum trim piece, but a really like robust way to mount the lip to the bumper, much more so than other systems that I've seen. Like on Hondas, we literally just tend to like, you know, self-tapping screw them onto the bumper. So really like that, and let's see how it looks. Boom. Ooh. Just looking along the front, and the fit looks really good actually. I don't see any gaps anywhere. Do you, Pete?
It's pretty snug, which is really nice. The only imperfection, and this is me being picky, if you look here, you can see it just bulges in a bit. So
yeah.
We may be able to fix that by moving the bracket a bit from behind. But
yeah, we could probably tune that
all
up
in all, man, for the $150,
yeah, I think it looks pretty darn good.
It's certainly a win.
To further update the look of the front bumper, we have ordered a set of these S2 style turn signals, which you can see we've installed on the right side here. And what we like about them is they've got this curvature to them, so they match the shape of the front bumper. So they kind of, you know, follow the lines here, where this S1 style one is sort of recessed in here. Looks like a bit of an afterthought to us. So we just think this is a much sort of more clean, up-to-date look. So the one modification we do have to make to fit this up is to drill a hole for the stud that lives here. We've pulled this stud out, and we're just gonna put some paint here on this surface, which will then press against the bumper where I put the tape down so we don't damage the paint, and that'll tell us where to drill the hole. It's a pretty simple trick, but it works really well. You can see we left a paint mark right there. When you're drilling through plastic like this, it's really important to put your hand right behind the plastic just to support it. No, don't ever do that, or you'll drill into your finger, which I saw my dad do once when I was a kid, and it scarred me for life. So I will support it, but not with my hand anywhere near the backside here. Ooh, she's walking a little on me. PT's normally the driller around here, so this is a bold move on his part to let me drill into this bumper.
Gotta go fast.
Now we do need to slot this hole a bit, because otherwise the studs, as you can see, are pretty long and you can't fit it in the hole. So we know from looking at an S2 style front bumper that you do need to slot this hole a bit. So we'll do that now with this fancy drill bit. What's this drill bit called, Pete?
I don't even know. I got them on Amazon. They're I want to call them cutting drill bits.
Yeah, you might be right. I think that is what it's called. But you can see it's got like these teeth on the shaft, and that lets you move it sideways, almost like a mill, to, you know, straight to stretch open a hole. So I'm just gonna send it now, I guess, huh?
Keep it straight.
Yeah.
And you're going to...
Going to the front.
Yeah, you're going to the front, yeah.
See if we got this hole big enough. Super close. Oh yeah, there it goes. All right, we're in. Next on our cosmetic upgrades hit list here is the headlights. And as you'll recall, on the blue Supra, we swapped out the lenses for S2 type lenses, but on this car, we're actually swapping out the complete headlight. These are, of course, JDM S1 style headlights, but we are going to S2 North American market headlights, which we bought online from Elmhurst Toyota. They are a really great resource for Toyota parts, especially kind of rare, hard to find stuff like this. And they're in like Illinois somewhere, I believe. So as you can see, these are black housing, S2 lens, and being designed for left-hand drive market, apparently the way the lights are oriented is slightly different from right-hand drive to left-hand drive, so this will suit driving around here a little better. So in any case, man, that looks so sweet already. I want to see these things on the car ASAP. As you'd expect, those bolted in like OE, because they are OE, and my God, do they ever look delicious. In fact, I think it's time to throw the front bumper on now and see how the whole front end looks. Well, there you have it, everyone. What do you think? I really like it. I think it's a super clean OEM double plus. This is double plus, everyone. We stepped up our plus game, and this has got it going on. We were really tempted to put a Ridix body kit on this car to kind of give it more, visual impact, if you want to call it that. But after seeing how good the blue car looked, we just thought, man, maybe this is the way to go. And I think we made the right call, PT, because this looks super, super clean.
Yeah, there's something tweaking my OCD here, though.
What's that?
The side marker lights,
Yeah.
so the turn signal and side marker lights there are like a chrome, and now with the black housing.
Ooh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if we can get those in smoked.
In a
They
smoked, yeah.
might match a little bit better.
Yeah.
Oh, and we should mention that the plugs are different on those S2 markers, right?
They are, yeah. We thought we'd be able to plug in the existing. No, not gonna happen. What are these lights called again? The little
The city light. There's like a
lights.
city light and then the turn signal. So we
Yeah.
we don't have turn signals right now.
Out back, we're doing much the same. We're gonna upgrade from these S1 taillights to these S2 taillights, which I think are a much cleaner look. There's the lenses are much different in style, aren't they? They're like a much sort of smoother, cleaner look, and the housing is a different color as well, I think.
It is, yeah. It's gray versus
This
black.
is like a gunmetal, and this
Yeah,
is black.
yeah.
Anyway, just having fresh taillights on there is gonna look amazing, and you do need these little sub harnesses. And man, it's only 300 bucks for this complete setup for both taillights. And I should mention the fronts were 1,000 bucks for the pair. So for 1,300 bucks, you can get complete new lighting on this car, which I think is remarkable value considering how much these cars are worth now. That, my friends, is what carbon fiber looks like. This is a Shine Auto rear diffuser in full carbon, and we ordered this along with a Ridix style front bumper and side skirts, thinking we would give this car a really aggressive look. However, we've kind of fallen in love with this OEM Plus look on this car. It's just such a clean design. It feels maybe a little wrong to mess with it too much, so we're tempted just to see what the diffuser looks like on here without actually putting the front bumper or the side skirts on. So I don't know, we're a bit concerned it might look a little weird on an otherwise stock body Supra, but let's throw it under here and have a look. There is one challenge though. This mounts to these side pieces that go over here, and these are not compatible with this rear spat here. So we'd either have to trim this up or build a bracket somehow to make this all work together. So there's some challenges associated with mounting it, but let's just quickly put it under there and see if we even like the look before we start thinking about mounting solutions. Well, we've propped it up there, a little bit of tape and a couple of empty jugs, and it gives you an idea of what it would look like underneath the car. But I don't know, I don't think we're huge fans of the idea of it adding bulk and sort of lowering the rear profile of the car without anything up front to match. I think if you wanted to run this, we'd probably want to run like a aggressive front splitter on the front. So I don't know, my feeling is run without it, just keep the car looking really clean and stock. What do you guys think though? Let us know in the comments. Carbon diffuser, yes or no? To give that rear diffuser a little more context, we thought, why don't we show you the full body kit that we were actually originally thinking about running on this car. And this is all from Shine Auto. It is basically a replica of the Ridix body kit. This is of course the front bumper, which has this big boy carbon fiber front splitter integrated into it. So it's like a two-piece setup, but that bolts and integrates beautifully into that front bumper. It's obviously got much bigger inlets in the front. It's an aggressive look. I think it's a really cool look. It comes with these side skirts, which I think are basically the same as what we have on there, other than the addition of these carbon side splitters on here, which I think is a really cool look when you've got a carbon front splitter and you've got a carbon rear diffuser, and it would all kind of tie together visually. It's got these nice little side spats, again with carbon along the bottom. So you're gonna have this carbon lip effect around the whole car that ties into the diffuser, that ties into the front splitter, and you get a cohesive look. However, that cohesive look is going to be very, tuner car, very boy racer. And when I stand back and look at this car with this kit sitting here, I do get excited because my inner boy racer is like, damn, that looks good. However, the silver fox in me thinks, man, this car looks so clean with the OE aero on it. It's just, gives me like classic vibes when I see it in its classic form. I have so much nostalgia for the way this car looks stock. To me, I think it's the right way to go. But let us know what you guys think. Well, it is looking a whole lot shinier, isn't it, PT? It's amazing what a quick cut and polish will do for a car's paint, especially a car of this vintage. I mean, what is this car, 25 years old, something like that? And it needed it because the paint was in decent shape, but it was certainly showing its age. I had to make quite a few passes on the roof to get it looking decent, but the rest of the car cleaned up pretty darn good. With the tools that we used, mainly, of course, that Roops polisher and the Sonax EX05, which is like a 5 cut and a 5 polish, I believe. As a 1 pass cut and polish, it works remarkably well. So, I mean, you stand back 3 feet from this thing and it looks amazing. You get up close and you can still find lots of little flaws, but we're not going to obsess over it just yet. If you're building a JDM Legend, I think you need legendary JDM wheels, don't you? And these are certainly a fit for that. These are, of course, Volk Racing CE28 Ends, although I don't see an N on the end here, PT. Have they gone away from the N?
No, I don't know. I think the stickers have always been printed.
On the back here, it says N on the back.
See?
So
those stickers always just say C28.
They're tuning up their stickers. And of course, we went with, I think, the most classic color for Volk Racing wheels, and that is their bronze. It's got a lot of metal flake in it, more than I'm used to seeing, but man, what a beautiful wheel. To me, the CE28 is one of the most classic JDM wheels of all time. It's right up there with like TE37s and, you know, RPF ones and that kind of stuff. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful wheel. We went with an 18 by 9.5 plus 28 offset on all 4 corners. So we're going with a square setup, which I know is kind of unconventional on Supras, but being track guys, we've always preferred a square setup rather than a staggered setup. We just find it helps us with getting the car to rotate the way we want it to rotate. But regardless, we have gone with a very, very sticky tire and also a very JDM tire in these Yokohama Advan AO52s. If you're into time attack or autocross or just want all the grip in the world, you'll be familiar with these tires already. They've been around a few years, and in fact, we've had them in the back of our shop longer than we should have. Sorry, Yokohama USA. We got ahead of ourselves when we ordered these. We were just so excited to have the stickiest 200 tread wear tires we could possibly get. And these are winning time attack events, you know, all over the world. They are a tremendous tire. Not the longest living tire in the world, but with cars like this where we're not gonna put a ton of miles on them, we don't really care about longevity. We just want all the grip we can get in a street legal tire that can truly take track use. And these are certainly a good fit for that. So for size, we went 265, 35, 18 all around. And that may not sound that big to some of you, but these do run wide. These are running more like a 275 in width. In fact, with this offset and this much tire, we may run into some fender clearance issues. So what we're gonna do is throw these on the car, get our alignment set up on here and start dialing in the camber and toe and everything because we're a little concerned we may have some clearance issues. Well, there's your first look at these wheels and tires on the car and whew, it looks good, but consider this just a teaser because we're gonna put the car on the ground in a minute and give you a full, glorious look at how the car is looking with these beautiful CE28s on there. And in the meantime, you'll notice I have this string running through the center line of the wheel, and that's because we're on our BG Racing stands and camber plates, some of our own split plates in the rear, so that we can do a quick string alignment on the car. So we have some challenges here. We have to put a lot of camber into this car to help clear these big beefy Advans. These 265s definitely run wider than we expected. So we're running 4 degrees of negative camber in the front, to ensure that we're going to clear. And even then, I think there's a bolt here that holds the wheel well liner in that we're going to have to take out. 4 degrees is a lot. I would have been much happier at say 3.5 degrees, but we're not going to put so many miles on this car that really matters, and it'll give us a lot of front grip at the track. So we're going to try it and see. Obviously, we need to test drive the car to make sure that the suspension can travel without hitting anything, but I'm pretty confident that's the case with 4 degrees up here. Out back, it's even tighter. By the way, I should have mentioned we do have a little bit of toe out in the front, but we've zeroed the toe in the rear, and we're at 3 degrees of negative camber in the rear, and even then, we are going to hit this lip in here, which is quite a big, thick lip, very much like we had on our Lexus. What we're being told by Supra guys is you can't roll this, you're just gonna crack the paint and destroy the fender. So you have to cut this lip out. And as you can see, even at 3 degrees, we're gonna have to cut this lip out to clear. So I would have been much happier to have maybe 2 degrees in the rear, just so that the tire's standing up a bit straighter so that we have better drive or traction in a straight line. With this much camber, we're gonna have a lot of grip in the corners, but we are gonna give up a little bit of straight line traction, which, you know, in a Supra is not ideal because these things make enough power that you want all the straight line traction you can get. But we are making some compromises here to fit this sort of like a fairly low offset wheel on here. In hindsight, maybe a higher offset wheel that tucked in more would have been preferential or beneficial, but man, these look so good. I'm willing to cut this fender lip if Pete's willing to get dirty, because these things look so good. I think we got to just make them work somehow, don't we?
I don't like to do this, I really don't. Cutting up metal on cars like this was, you know, when these cars were worth nothing, it was like, oh, whatever, roll it, cut it, crack the paint, no big deal. Now that they're becoming big money, there's actual, you know, like responsibility to make this look good, make it look proper, don't crack the paint. And that means usually, like I did a bit of research on it, and a lot of people are trying to roll these fenders. And as Dave said, because they're double walled here, they do not roll well. And 90% of the videos I watched, people cracked the paint. So originally I was going to come in with the Milwaukee and a cutting disc and just come in here like that and just cut it. But I also saw a couple people had blistering of their paint because they were putting too much heat using the cutting disc. The other option is to do it this way, which is a very slow and dirty method, which is using the sanding disc and just like sitting here and slowly grinding this down, grinding it until you get it to the point there. However, I decided to give this a try, which is, you can see an air saw, I guess you'd call this. Yeah, air saw. That makes sense.
Yep.
And it's got this tiny little blade. It is a high quality blade. I don't remember the brand, sorry. If I figure out what it is, it says Morse on it. I'll post in the description. But this thing looks like it's gonna do a good job. I'll come in here, it's gonna have low heat, and I'll be able to make this really good cut. And really, this blade is kind of ideal for something like this, which is sheet metal. Even though it's double walled, I think it's gonna work well. So let me suit up here and we'll see how this goes. You can see that is perfection. Like, look at how nice and clean that cut is. So this is certainly the right tool. It doesn't make a mess, doesn't put a ton of heat into the paint. So I'm just gonna keep going here and just get this thing perfectly dialed in. This is exactly why you do not want to roll these. You can see, as I mentioned, this is 2 pieces of sheet metal and they've been spot welded in certain spots. So as soon as you try to start rolling this deforms and it does these weird things. You can see like this, and it starts cracking. And truth be told, what I did just there, like, I do not think I could have done a better job. Like, this thing is perfectly flat. It still retains the body line here. So we didn't like bring it all the way to the edge, because then this edge here starts getting wavy. But it's shaved so much off and it looks, I think, so good. And this is why you always check your fitment before saying, job done, it's gonna fit, no problem. And as you can see, what we did here is we actually removed the shock to test the fitment, and it clears perfectly up here. So I think I've done a great job making sure this clears. However, back here, which is what I was worried about, this tab and a little bit of this rear spat here, do need to be trimmed off because when this thing comes up, it is gonna start rubbing there. So I'm gonna lower this back down, pull the wheel off, and then do a little bit more trimming work, and we'll fit this up again and see if we've got everything trimmed out. And with that minor trim right here, I think we have the clearance we need. As you can see, this thing is tucked way up above here. I think that is higher than the bump stop would go with the spring and shock in place. So I think we're gonna call this good. Now to seal the open edge here, we are gonna use some of this Proform urethane sealer. I guess you could come in and try to paint it, but I think this is the best way to go. The downside to this is we don't want to get any on the paint. So you can see what I've done here is run the painter's tape along the edge, and then I'm just gonna start applying it with my finger on the inside.
It is an OEM seam sealer basically, and it can be painted afterward if we want to paint it.
Yes.
It can also be used as an adhesive to bond panels together, so it'll get in that seam, seal it all up, seal up the exposed metal, and prevent any rust from forming. That's the basic.
I think we've got the right stuff. Whether we apply it properly and not get it on the paint is really the question here.
Wow, what a transformation. This car is looking just incredible. I'm really happy we stuck with the stock body essentially and kept it very, classic looking. Let us know in the comments if you think we made a mistake by not going with that Riddick style kit or not, but I'm really, really happy with how clean this car is looking, and the wheel choice to me is perfect. I mean, I love the color, the bronze on the red looks great, and I love the fact that we went with a very classic JDM wheel in these E28Ns. It's, to me, one of the greatest looking wheel designs of all time. Been copied a lot. These are the real deal, and man, do they ever look good on this car. I think it just completes the look. It's stunning. I couldn't be happier with the way it looks, and really I think all that's left is to make the interior as nice as the exterior, because there's some work to be done in there, everybody. But wow, let us know in the comments what you think, how this thing is turning out, and if you're excited as I am to see this thing on the dyno, because we're getting close to being done on this thing, which means we got to get to work on that silver car over there, PT. What's the holdup, buddy? Why are you lagging behind so much?
Parts. We've been waiting for parts. They have arrived though, so we are getting back to it.
Is it parts though, or is it just that GTRs are so much more complex and complicated? They need a million more parts thrown at them to make them as good as this. I mean, this is the definition of a legend, everyone. It's simplicity and perfection all in one. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one where Pete continues to struggle with that poor old GTR. By the way, if you love red cars but don't necessarily have the budget to build your own JDM legend, then why don't jump over to powerjdm.com and enter the giveaway to win our 350Z. This thing is looking amazing. There's a couple episodes you can jump back to watch us update it and improve it. And all you have to do is jump onto PowerJDM. There's be a link in the description below, and you can buy our merch there, or you can buy hard parts, and every dollar you spend will go towards an entry into this giveaway.
And wow, that is it. The RB is fully assembled, ready to go back in. DP, that felt like it took an eternity.
It's because it did take an eternity.
Did it?
It was a long time.
Was twin turbos the right choice or the wrong choice?
Man,
do you think? Should we just have gone with a single?